Man, like the drive to the tournament, the day off, it's the worst car ride you can possibly have. Like for me, I'm just battling myself and my demons the whole time. Like you get all these negative self-talks like, why am I doing this? Why am I going? I'm too old. This is stupid. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna get hurt. And then you just gotta shake all that away. So, well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going and I gotta do this.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Vanilla Gorilla channel, where our entire goal is to make the grappler better as a whole. Whether that be physically, mentally, nutritionally, or spiritually, we're here to help you. Today's guest is Rei Villa, who is a Combatives instructor, Army veteran, sheepdog response instructor, as well as just an overall badass. He's one of my favorite people, one of my best friends. I'm really excited for you to hear his insights, his perspectives, some of the stories that he has from dealing with depression and anxiety about going into competitions, also realizing that you don't have to be the best to make it. He's an amazing black belt, and in his own words, he was probably the worst white belt the sport has ever seen. All right, guys, and if you haven't done so already, please click the link below to subscribe. I need at least 100 subscribers so that I can continue to wrist lock white belts. So, without further ado, welcome to the episode.
I've been wanting to do this for a little bit, and it's awesome to have you down for our first one.
Well, it's an honor, man. I don't know how much I necessarily have to say, but we'll find out.
We will find out, man. So, Rei, dude, just introduce yourself to the guests, man. Let them know who you are, what's your background, kind of what you did on that voice message you left me. Just, man, that basic rundown.
Cool, yeah. So no problem. My name is Rei. Reinaldo Villa is my full name. Been doing many things for a long time. Born in Venezuela originally, came here in 2001 and joined the United States Army. Decided it would be a good idea to just try and see if at any point we were going to invade Venezuela and kick out the current regime that made me leave. But that never happened, so that's cool. I ended up going to the Middle East a bunch of times, several deployments, Operation Iraqi Freedom, did everything in the infantry from rifleman to machine gunner, team leader, squad leader, vehicle commander. Had a lot of experience on that. After coming back from my latest deployment in 2010, I became a full-time combatives instructor for the Army. Throughout my career, I went through all the 4 levels of combatives, which I can explain later if you want. Yeah, for sure. Ended up being a full-time combatives instructor at JBLM Washington. Back then, I used to be Fort Lewis. Did that for a while until in 2015, I came here to Austin, Texas, to work for the Texas National Guard. I worked for them full-time, doing training on several different things for soldiers. And that's what I've been doing, man. Just training people, training soldiers, training jiu-jitsu in the meantime, and that's it. That's what I do.
Just what actually got you started, I guess, in jiu-jitsu? Like, where was that kickoff moment?
So I actually grew up doing martial arts. Ever since I was a kid, I was involved in Chinese martial arts when I was growing up, and then later on in Japanese karate. I did Shotokan karate until I was a brown belt. Didn't know anything about jiu-jitsu, really. There was no jiu-jitsu in my area when I was growing up, but martial arts was always something that I was interested in. And then when I got to the Army, I heard about the Combatives program. I was like, man, this is great. I really want to do it, really want to learn it. Got the field manual, read the book, everything. I was ready to go. Then I realized that in basic training, they only gave me 4 hours of instruction. Obviously, that's just enough to get your ass kicked, right? And then I was like, all right, cool, I'm good, ready for more. What are we doing? I was like, no, that's it. You don't get anything else. I was like, okay, that's weird, but fine, right? They're like, no, you will get more training at the unit. Once you get to your unit, you're going to train more. It's all right, cool, I'm ready, let's go. And then it never happened. It's something that the Army is very, very shy about doing for a number of reasons. So it was a training that I had to seek out. But eventually, just being annoying enough and asking people, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this stuff. They sent me to the appropriate schools. I learned the program, became an instructor, started teaching it to soldiers. And then I have jiu-jitsu people coming in for open mats and just kicking my ass. Like, we'll have 4 striped white belts and blue belts just choking the ever-living life out of me. I was okay, this isn't normal. I got to learn jiu-jitsu. So I started training, thinking maybe if I get a blue belt, I'll be okay. Then I can quit and, it'll be enough. But you know how it is. Once you end up in the path, you realize how much deeper it is that you initially think, and then just continue to train and continue to learn. And the more you learn, the more you realize that there's more to learn. So here we are today.
So always being that student.
Yeah, getting that white belt mindset.
So I've noticed, especially in women's self-defense, like a couple of gyms, and we've tried it a couple of times where it's this women's self-defense class, come in for free, you know, like let's do a couple of classes, and they get this false sense of I can take care of myself now, like
Yeah.
after one or two classes. Do you feel like that's kind of the equivalent of the military giving you 4 hours and then just like setting it down?
Yes and no. That's definitely a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually a complex problem, right? That we can unpack. Number one, there's that, right? There's the thought that okay, if I know 3-4 things, I can just do them and employ them in any situation, I'll be okay.
Right.
The other side of the coin is that you have a bunch of dudes that are just trained combat killers, alpha males that have an ego the size of the state of Texas, right? And that's, I don't need this, I'm good. The whole my mentality when I see red and I can fight and I can punch somebody in the face. And they probably can, and that's great. Not a problem, right? But why wouldn't you want to learn something that is going to make you more efficient and better at your job, right? There's a huge disconnect between armed combat, what we do with weapons, etc., and hand-to-hand unarmed combat. People view it as two different things, when in reality it's not. It is the same thing. If I end up in a fight for my life with somebody, a weapon may come out, and now we're in a weapons-based environment, right? So it's all the same. It's all part of the continuum. We still haven't been able to fully dial that culture in the army when people go, okay, yeah, this is what we should do, right? A lot of people are into it, but the majority don't quite understand that. So that's where the problem happens, right? They don't feel they need it. And then the last layer of that onion is the fact that because people also have big egos, if you're somebody that has been used to the fact that you are amazing and unbeatable throughout your whole career, you don't want to be shut off on the mat, right? You don't want to get on a mat on somebody that's just some scrawny, nerdy looking kid can just destroy you. So people avoid that situation. But it's easier to say, oh, I don't need this. This is not going to work, than to actually admit, I don't want to do it because I'm scared. Yeah. Also, nothing that I don't tell people in my classes, that's how I open and how I introduce the program to my soldiers. Say, hey, you know what? This is why not everybody's doing it. Don't be that guy.
You're teaching weapons-based stuff, firearms training and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
What do you have to say to the guy that's like, well, I have a gun, I'm good?
Well, if you have a gun and you are trained to use your gun and you are trained to retain your gun in a hand-to-hand combat situation, then that's a problem for me, because I'm dealing with somebody that's worthy and it's going to be on a level that is going to put up a fight. If you have a gun and you're not trained in hand-to-hand combat, that gun is going to be mine. You're just being a holster for my gun right now, and I'm going to take it from you.
Absolutely, man. That's another thing that I hear you. So you hit the nail on the head earlier of like, well, I see red. When I get mad, I just see red. So they don't want to train.
Yep.
Or, man, I have a gun, I'm good. But it's like, what happens when that distance is closed, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you don't know how to retain your weapon, or you can't pull your weapon out, and that distance has already been covered.
Absolutely. Not to mention, even people that carry a weapon don't train enough with their weapon to be comfortable. Just having a weapon by itself is not going to help you. There's an amazing quote from Colonel Jeff Cooper. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's basically the father of modern pistol shooting. He's the first that during the 50s and 60s, if I'm not mistaken, he started shooting the way that we shoot today. I guess back before his time, carrying a handgun in the military, the Army, the Marine Corps, was something somewhat ceremonial. Like it was like a symbol of rank and status, and people would carry it because they were too cool to carry a rifle, but they didn't really train with it enough. So Cooper was the first one that saw potential and said, hey, you know what? This is a weapon that it's amazing and we should really be training with it. So everything that we do today, modernized socialist stance, everything that we do in pistol came from him. And the quote that I love is that he used to say, having a gun on you doesn't make you a gunfighter any more than having a guitar will make you a musician.
Okay.
If you don't know how to use it, or you don't practice with said piece of equipment, it's not going to be effective for you.
So if someone that has never really handled a firearm before, but they actually want to start carrying, they want to be able to protect themselves, like, what's a good way for them to start? Like, any courses that you recommend?
Yeah, just like everything else, just like jiu-jitsu, just like everything you do in life, you have to learn the basics. Mm-hmm. You have to learn the basics. You have to understand your weapon from the safety standpoint, obviously, because, accidents do happen if you handle them improperly. Then you have to understand what you need to do to operate that weapon safely, right? Marksmanship, how to carry it, how to draw, how to reload, et cetera, et cetera. The better you are at the basics, the better you're going to be in a fight, because you won't need anything fancy. You're just going to need what's going to save your life and what's easy to apply under pressure.
You want to go down into any of your deployments? Like, what was that like? So my dad was in the military, but I didn't go down that path. I went down a different one, firefighter,
Right.
that type of deal.
Which is great.
So I don't know what it's like on deployments, especially like in legitimate wartime.
Well, anyone that's been deployed will agree that these are moments of infinite boredom where nothing happens, followed with a few minutes of excitement. That's the tempo in deployment, especially when you're out for a year or so in country and you have sustained operations like we've done for the, past 2.5 decades. You get caught into the day-to-day routine where nothing ever happens and then something happens. So it's hard. I mean, it's hard because you're away from your home. You're living in less than ideal conditions. You're going out every day, and the first few times says, "Man, I'm ready. I just, I wish somebody tried something because I'm ready to go." But when you're feeling like that, nothing ever happens. Bad things happen when you're tired, you're hungry, you're ready to go home, you're ready to go to bed, and then you just have to turn it on. So that's where that situational awareness piece is fundamental. Gotta pay attention. Complacency kills, is what we say. But yeah, I mean, that's what it was. Just everyday mundane routine until something went down, and then we had to react to it.
How were you able to turn it on? Like in the moments where you're tired, you want to go home, you're just ready to get out of there, and something happens. Like you can't just be like, "Oh man, I don't want to do it," right? Like it has to be turned
Yeah.
on. Like so, what did you do to get yourself ready to be able to turn it on?
There's a lot of things to prepare you for it. Obviously, training in itself, right? The more you train, the more you're gonna be ready for it. The better shape you're in, the more you're gonna be able to get out of that lethargic mindset and go, okay, now it's time to go and I gotta do this thing. But I mean, in the end, you just gotta understand what you're doing, right? Once you're there, you're no longer thinking about, oh, I am here because of this or that political reason or what happens, or I don't really care anymore if we're supposed to be there or not. You're just there to fight for the people to your left or your right, right? So when something happens, you gotta go and you gotta have their back because they will have yours as well. So you just go for it. I mean, what I always tell people is like the bad guy doesn't care that you're sore, he doesn't care that you're tired, he doesn't care that you're hungry. That's not their problem. They gotta kill you because that's what they came to do, right? So you gotta perform no matter what.
Gotcha, man. And that's one of the things that I want to get out to people is like being able to unleash your full potential, right? On off the mats, whether it's in a deployment situation like you, or if it's in your everyday life, or again on the jiu-jitsu mats. When did you start competing?
I started pretty early. As soon as I was probably 3-4 months in as a white belt, I started competing. Did my first tournament. I didn't do great, but I didn't do horrible either. So it was a good metric. I was like, man, I think I can do this. I think I'm gonna be okay. I used to suffer, and I still do to this day, from competition anxiety.
Okay.
So putting myself in that moment takes me a while, but I guess I figured it out, and I think the more you do it, the better you get at it.
So every time I've competed, like that competition anxiety is through the roof
Yeah.
for me. Freaking out. I mean, 2 weeks away, it's weird. I'll start tasting metal. Like, so I'll start thinking about the rolls
Yeah.
while I'm driving down the road. And for like 10 minutes straight, I just have this taste of metal in my mouth.
Oh yeah, no, me too.
This adrenaline.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And it's like 2 weeks out. So I have no idea what's going on. And then it's like, as soon as I step onto the mats to compete, like slap bump, it's good to go.
Yeah.
And then once that comp is over, for whatever reason, you feel like you level up.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you
Absolutely.
feel the same way?
Absolutely. Dude, it's crazy how it goes, man. Like the drive to the tournament, the day off, it's the worst car ride you can possibly have. Like for me, I'm just battling myself and my demons the whole time. Like you get all these negative self-talks like, why am I doing this? Why am I going? I'm too old. This is stupid. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna get hurt. And then you just gotta shake all that away. So, well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going and I gotta do this. But same thing you say, man. As soon as I step on the mats, I'm like, okay, I feel fine. I'm gonna do it. End up having a good time, and then after that, win or lose, there's a piece where you level up and go, okay, I think I crossed some sort of threshold somewhere. Don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, you always get that gain from the experience.
What different type of competitions have you done?
So I've done regular jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've done IBJF tournaments, NAGA, smaller tournaments, all of that. I've done a couple of fight to wins, and I've done a couple of Garcia promotions, which are the more I guess, Texas-based Profights. I've done a few of those as well. I've done Army Combatives tournaments, which are a huge animal. I don't do those anymore, but it's basically a 3-day event if you make it all the way to the finals. So it's pretty intense.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
So out of all of those, what's your favorite? I mean, obviously you have that anxiety that's going on, but which one do you like the most?
I like the pro fights a lot.
Yeah.
The thing about being on stage doing jiu-jitsu, which is a big thing lately, and you have a whole crowd looking at you and just paying attention to everything you're doing, can be both super intimidating but also super rewarding. It's great. And the crowd, and I'm sure you've seen these events, the way that the crowd behaves when you're rolling, it's amazing. Everybody's quiet, paying attention. Everybody understands jiu-jitsu. When you do something cool, you just hear, oh, and you hear the excitement of people. It's just great. I love it. That's
What do you do to get ready? What is the importance of conditioning and strength training, not only for jiu-jitsu, but for military deployments?
so whatever you, regardless if you're getting ready for a deployment or for jiu-jitsu tournament, whatever it is, right? Whatever path you choose to take as far as preparation, in my opinion, has to be very specific. Specificity of training is super important. You have to do something that, regardless of what it is, has direct carryover to your activity, to what you're gonna do, right? So, like a super crazy example would be if you're gonna run a marathon and all you do is lift weights prior to, that's probably not gonna help you, right? You're gonna be super strong, but it's not gonna carry over to your skill. So same thing, right? You have to do what is applicable. In the case of jiu-jitsu, for example, that's really hard because, as you know, there's very few activities out there that are gonna mimic jiu-jitsu, aside from being on the mat and rolling, right? So I like to do a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of rounds, a lot of specific training, a lot of positional stuff. I do strength training, but I don't like to do it excessively because it gets to a point when you're, at least I feel that I start getting diminishing returns, and then I'm not performing as well on the mats. So if I'm exhausted and I can do well because I'm tired, then that strength training is just depleting me. So you just gotta play with that medium, right? When we were training for deployment, it was the same thing. You have to do what it's gonna help you. The army is not necessarily great at choosing the right activities because we do a lot of things that have to do with checking the box and things that you have to do regardless. But the mentality in the fitness side of the army has changed in the last few years to where that specificity of training is prevalent. So, just do what you need. If you're gonna have to do a lot of walking uphill, up in the mountains of northern Afghanistan, then you have to train something that is gonna help you get ready for that. Whatever your operational environment is gonna be, you have to mimic that. So I think that's important, that specificity piece.
Would you say it's kind of one of those things of you're going to have to take it into your own hands to make sure that you're ready?
100%.
Like, I mean, even if you have a coach, right? Like the coach can lead you to what you need to be doing, but if you're not going to be doing it, then it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, 100%, man. You are the only one responsible for the work. You have to do the work. Your coach, your squad leader, whatever we're talking about, right? They may guide you. They may tell you what you need to do. You should definitely draw from their experience because they know what they're talking about, right? Hopefully. And but at the end of the day, man, you have to do the work and you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can have the best coach in the world and he can give you the best advice in the world, but you have to tailor that to who you are. Make it individual, make it applicable to you, and then go from there.
I couldn't agree with you more. I realized recently, within the past couple of months, is I'm able to lift heavy weights. And so being in the gym and kind of doing that bodybuilder, like power lifter workout was great. I was looking great. I was strong. And then I would get on the mats and my cardio was shot. Like there was so much muscle mass for me to try to move around the mats that it was, like you said, there's diminishing return.
Well, the more muscle you have to feed that muscle, right? You have to feed it oxygen.
100%.
And now your breathing gets affected. So, there's a lot of schools of thought on that. Then some people say, well, if you're really big and muscular like that, then you can tailor your game to that body type, or you can move slower, you can be more pressure based, etc. Other people say, well, you should be able to move regardless, so cut down on the muscle. So it doesn't matter. Like I was saying before, it's really up to you what you feel is best for you. But we have to understand that yes, there's a trade-off every time.
For sure, and that's what I had to do. I had to change it up. I was like, it's pointless. What is the point of me trying to bench 400 pounds and all that stuff if I'm just going to be on the mat, or if I'm going to be in a structure fire? It's not going to do me any good to be able to lift that amount of weight if I can't last.
Yeah.
Do you change your diet, whether it's for the military or if it's for a jiu-jitsu competition, on season, off season? Like, do things change for you?
No, not really. So I think this is probably the part of the podcast where you're gonna kick me out and say, just get out of here. Because I am horrible when it comes to diet.
Really?
Yes, I eat like you can ask my family. I eat like a 12-year-old. I eat a bunch of candy all the time, and I'm not great at that. However, what I do try to do is understand that there's a time and a place for everything, right? Obviously, if I'm gonna compete, I'm not gonna eat 16 donuts right before I step on the mats. It's definitely something that I have to get better at. But I also think there should be a balance in life, right? I mean, food is great. You should be able to enjoy it. Also, listen to your body. If you get to a point where you are hindering your performance because of what you're eating, and it's happened to me, at times I go, I mean, I'm eating way too much carbs. I gotta clean it up. Then you gotta, be able to make that switch. Definitely eating enough. It's a big deal. A lot of people and a lot of athletes make that mistake. They're undernourished without realizing it because they're not taking into account the amount of physical activity that they have compared to what they're eating. They're either eating not enough food in general, or the good nutritional food that they're eating just is not enough compared to other crap that we put in their system. So that's a
For you,
fact.
how do you know when you're having enough?
I feel it. My energy levels just drop.
Yeah.
I feel tired. I feel lethargic. Before I start to experience physical exhaustion, I actually feel it mentally. It's like my body feels good, but now I can't react quickly enough. Like my brain is foggy. I'm not making the right decision at the right time, so I'm behind. So that's when I know.
Nice. Man, I've seen you get ready for competition, and like you just start shredding the weight. Like it's crazy to watch. Like I've seen you go from like dropping 15 pounds, and I'm talking to you like, man, how much are you eating? You're like, dude, I can't get enough.
Yeah.
Like you just burn. And so it's pretty cool to watch. So you're just saying like make sure that you're fueling yourself. If your activity is increasing, then make sure that your intake is there to match it.
For sure. Listen to your body, not only with food, but training itself, right? It doesn't matter what phase of training you are. There's some days that your body's going to tell you to stop or to slow down. And you got to kind of listen to that.
Going into kind of something that's near and dear to like my heart, right? Is I've suffered from like debilitating depression and anxiety, which jiu-jitsu has done some insane things for me in that realm. Have you had any experience with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. I've struggled with depression, struggled with anxiety, still do to this day. Yeah, it's there. We do stuff in my line of work that stays with you. And, if you bottle up all those feelings and everything just gets trapped there, they're going to find an outlet. And that outlet may not be the right one or the most positive one, right? So that's when anxiety presents itself, depression, anger issues, severe anger issues that have even threatened my family and, my personal relationships. And I've had to make a switch on that. So yeah, it's there. It happens. Jiu-jitsu is great to, keep those demons at bay, but they're always, they're across the room looking at you.
Yeah. So what do you do to help with just with that side of things? Is it therapy? What is it for you?
Yeah, I've done therapy. I've done a number of things. I think what helped me the most, and this is a very personal experience and not professional advice by any means, right? But I think admitting that I am 100% responsible for what's going on, that I'm at fault, really helped me and helped me, right? Especially when it comes to, anger issues and reactions that are less than appropriate and they may have affected one or more of your family members, right? It's super easy to just to blame everybody else. Yeah. Well, it's not my fault. You did this, you did that, and whatever. And even if whoever you're interacting with has a share of the blame, which is probably true, that doesn't matter. You gotta own your stuff and say, hey, I did this, and I gotta figure out how to undo it. But once you fully accept it in a true way for me, right? Not just because that's what people expect to hear, but when you go, yeah, it's right, I messed up. I think it makes it easier. That's what helped me, right?
Absolutely.
And I didn't get there overnight because I'm stubborn and I had to wrestle with a lot of things to go, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, I did. No, I didn't, until you get to where you need to go. So that does help.
How do you go from struggling with that to developing a champion a mindset?
You just got to know why you're doing what you're doing, right? winning, it's great. Obviously, we all want to have the hand raised and having that gold medal and just go home and say, I just, destroyed everybody. I'm the best. That's best feeling in the world, right? And that's, in a way, what everybody wants to compete, and that's fine, right? But at the end of the day, you got to understand why you're doing that and how it fits in the long-term process and evolution as a martial artist, right? Competition to me, and mind you, I'm not the greatest competitor. I don't win every time. I've won and I've lost many, and that's great, right? But regardless of that, I think competition is just one more element of my training. Competition is going to give me something that I may not get in the training room, as far as dealing with that anxiety, dealing with all those feelings, dealing with that fight or flight reactions that you have that very closely mimic a real fight. That ultimately will help me get used to that in case I have to be in a real fight, right?
Right.
So that's how I see it. So whether you win or lose, there's always a lot of lessons that you got from that experience, and also a lot of little victories, right? You have to also reward yourself in the little wins you have, even if the whole or the entire conclusion of the event was you not getting your hand raised, right? Did I do better? Did I hit a good guard pass that I never hit before, etc.? It doesn't matter what it is, right? You got to see what you're doing and how you're performing, because that's all it is. You're just gauging your performance, and that's also why what you were saying before, right? After a competition, you feel you're leveling up and you feel better because you've seen that and you go, you know what? I can do this, so I can do more. So that's it, man. I mean, losing sucks, but I guess you got to get out there and keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Because no one cares.
So how does having that champion mindset bleed over into your everyday life?
Discipline, it makes you appreciate why you do things. It makes you realize that even though I hate getting up at 5 a.m. and no one's making me getting up at 5 a.m, it's good for me to do so and do whatever training or whatever physical activity I do at that time. Because if I don't, I mean, no one's gonna care, no one's gonna fault me, but it's gonna affect me negatively. So knowing that, I gotta do it, right? It frames everything you do in life, from work, from everything, because you want to have that excellence, you want to have that process, right? Makes you more efficient, makes you more organized. To me, every decision that I make that is not related to training has to be weighing against the training I'm gonna do the next day or that evening, because anything I drink, anything I eat, anything I just don't do right is gonna impact that performance. So since I want to do well in training, I just gotta plan my life around it. So I guess you're conditioning yourself to perform that way, because you know what the end result is going to be. You know what it feels like. Even if you don't win it every time, like I said, you know where you need to be to get at that level.
You just keep showing up, right?
Yeah, just keep showing up, keep doing it.
Dang, dude. What is the importance for you in having camaraderie and like surrounding yourself with a community of people that are like-minded?
It's huge, man. I mean, no one can exist in a vacuum. There's no way for you to get better at anything by yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't care who you are, right? You have to have that immediate feedback. You have to have contact with people that are better than you, people that are equal, and people that are worse than you. Because from each one of those, you're going to learn. And I don't mean just jiu-jitsu or anything like that. I mean in life, right? Less experience, more experience, different experiences. From each person, you're going to learn from that interaction. But if on top of that, you're in a community of like-minded people that are seeking the same things you are, but everybody's going about it different, because obviously we're different people, right? You're going to pick that up, and you're going to pick up the vibe, and you're going to be able to understand where you are, where your shortcomings may lie, and then feed off of somebody else that may be strong on that. So it's huge, man.
What are characteristics that you're looking for when you know that you need to be around certain people, or you find someone? Like what's a characteristic that you're looking for that's like, yeah, this is my people?
You got to love what you're doing. You got to be passionate, and you got to be willing to just put in the work. That's it, right? I'm not particularly fond of people that make excuses for no reason. Like, I'm just not going to train today because, my back hurts and my shoulder hurts. I go, dude, guess what? My back hurts too. It's been hard. It's not an excuse, right?
Yeah.
So, things like that. Within reason, obviously, right? But I like people that are focused, that are laser-minded into that goal, because that is going to make me pick up that momentum when I mess up lacking, right? As a human, I go, oh, man, I don't want to do this, but man, well, crap. Nick is training, so I guess I better go, right?
Yeah. We're meant to be relational.
Yeah.
So finding those people that are going to help you progress instead of being around the people that are just gonna hold you back. What do you have to say to people that are around people that are holding them back? Like, what should they be looking for to know that, yeah, this may be someone that I need to separate myself from?
Well, first of all, I think you have to understand why you're being held back, right? And it's all different depending on the nature of the relationship, right? Am I being held back by this person? Why? What is the reason? And then make your goals a priority. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to cut those people completely out of your life. I just gotta be brutally honest, say, hey, look, I gotta do my thing, right? Excuse me, as a society, I think I make fun of this all the time. I think we have been conditioned to always have to justify ourselves as far as we do. So we find ourselves saying things like, hey man, I'm not gonna hang out with you today, but see what happens is that I gotta do laundry, right? And then my car, and then you gotta justify it because me letting you know that I'm not gonna do it, it's not good enough, right? To where in reality, you should be able to say, hey man, I'm not doing this, and that should be the end. You shouldn't be questioned. Say, well, why are you doing that? Well, why aren't you doing this? Well, that's my business. So once you create that boundary and say, I don't care, I'm telling you what I'm doing. If you're cool with it, that's great. But if you're not cool with it, I'm still gonna do it anyway. That helps you separate that, and it's a great filter too because you see how people react, right? You see the ones that go, okay, yeah, I guess you're good, or you see the ones that are turning that into a personal attack and turning into, well, why are you blowing me off, or why are you doing this, and me, and then you know where you need to be, right?
Have you always been that way of being able to go, no, I'm just not gonna do it? Or
no, never. Like, this is relatively new to me. For many years, I've been actually a pushover.
Okay.
And unconsciously, I used to be a people pleaser, which is terrible, right?
Yeah.
But that's the way to be, because then you gotta realize, hey, if I'm pleasing these people all the time because I wanna be liked or I wanna have friends or whatever the case may be, then I'm not gonna be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Or at least not connecting with the right type of people that are gonna help me and support me meeting those goals.
What was the point, I guess, recently that it clicked for you?
I got old, so I don't care anymore. No, but seriously, after a while, man, you start to realize that, and it does have to do with age, unfortunately, we don't have long on this earth, right? Could be a year, could be 20 years, it doesn't matter, we don't know, but it's not long. In the greater scheme of things, you don't have a long life, none of us do, right, because we're human. So what am I gonna do with those years that I have left? Am I gonna do what I wanna do and be happy and do things my way, and whether I'm right or wrong, it doesn't matter because I'm doing it? Or do I want to follow and conform to whatever structure is around me that may or may not be the right one, right? So once you figure that out, I want to do my thing. So in order to do that, I gotta set some boundaries and tell people that I'm gonna do things the way I'm gonna do them, and if they're not on board, then they're not.
So what does that look like for you coming up, right? Like, we don't have long on this earth. What are your goals? Right, you're coming up pretty close to retirement, right?
Yeah. I should be retired in about 3 years. I gotta do 23 years so I can get my full retirement from the army. Just gotta do what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do it my way, man. Like with jiu-jitsu, I feel like I'm already doing that. I am not the best black belt out there, not even close. Probably one of the worst, but that's okay. But I do things the way I want to do them. I train how I want to train. I train with the people that I want to train. Obviously, I seek guidance for the mentors that I feel are gonna help me and take me where I need to be. But I tend to not do things because you're supposed to, because everybody else is doing it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with personal life, family, whatever you do, right? You make decisions based on making yourself and your family happy, and then it doesn't matter, no one can judge you because they don't know what you're doing, right? So that's, if I had to tell you what my goal is for the rest of the time, I have to say, I'm gonna do things my way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have anything coming down the pipeline?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I've been doing jiu-jitsu for, 13 years now? Ish, something like that. I've been teaching a lot within the army and outside of the army too, with private companies that I worked with as well, but I've never had anything that was my own. Because you are teaching in a different environment, even though you're doing great work, you have to be limited by that environment because it's not yours, right? Like, for example, if you hire me to teach at your gym, I'm gonna do my best, I'm gonna do great, but it's your gym, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
I need to do things the way you will handle them and respect your program as I should, right? So now I'm just gonna do things my way. I'm gonna open my own thing. So I'm working on bringing a jiu-jitsu gym real close to the Bastrop area in the next couple of months, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that. And any information that you provide me, man, I'll let it know whenever it's time.
Yeah, it's we're there. We have a name that I'm not gonna share yet. We have some things coming up, but it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I was lucky enough to get connected with the right people as far as being very knowledgeable in the business aspect of running a gym, which is something that I will be new at because I've never done it. So what I'm bringing to the table is the teaching and the martial arts expertise, whatever I can have.
Yeah.
And I think we'll do okay. I think I'm gonna do great. I'm excited.
So one of the questions that I got asked to ask you is, dude, you are so busy all the time, right? Like military, combatives training, you work for Sheepdog Response, you are opening up your own gym. Like, where do you find the time? Like, how do you prioritize yourself?
I don't know, man. No, yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. You gotta stay organized. You gotta stay disciplined. I get up very early in the morning. I go to bed kind of late sometimes. I do things in a way that allow me to stay consistent with everything I'm doing, while at the same time having family time, because that's important too, right? So it's just a matter of knowing what you need to do, and when it's time to go, prioritize those tasks. Like, for example, when I go to my full-time job, I just sit at my desk and I do what I need to do. Sometimes I can be perceived as being a little grumpy or quiet or not social, and that has nothing to do with it. So I'm just focused. I gotta finish this so I can, move on to the next, and so on and so forth. So that's what I do. I have also, over the years, had to think about what it's not essential in my life that I can get rid of. Like, for example, staying up and going and partying, going and drinking, doing stuff that a lot of people do, and that's fine. I'm not judging anyone, right? But that is not what I do, because if I partake in a lot of extracurricular things, I am going to be wasting time that it's not going to allow me to do what I need to do, or I'm not going to be at my best. So it's just a matter of choosing sometimes. And that ties back to what I was telling you before, right? Being able to say no. Hey, you want to do this? No, sorry, I don't want to. I don't want to go to that because I got this going on. So it's just a matter of staying organized and lining up what you want to do, and just stay with that vision, man. If you know what's at the end of the tunnel, what you like to achieve, and you visualize that every day, it makes it easy, actually.
So just for some actionable steps for the listeners for, training, just specify your training, right? Like, know what you're going to be training for, and then tailor it to that activity.
Yeah.
Right? And then also just make sure that you are taking full control and ownership of that training, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't rely on anybody else to get you there.
No, you can't. And you gotta understand that if training doesn't go as planned, it's not your training partner's fault either.
Yeah.
You should be able to train with anyone, and you should be able to stay consistent with your goals. That's why it's important when you go to train. I always have a goal in mind. Like, for me, not that there's anything wrong with this, right? But for me, I never go, I'm gonna roll today because it's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna have fun with people, which I will, right? That's a byproduct of what we're doing. It's always fun, and the day that it stops being fun, I'll stop doing it.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be your goal. Actually, today I'm gonna work on A, B, C, and D. By working on A, B, C, and D and doing really well on this, guess what? Training is gonna be great, and because it's great, it's gonna be fun. And because I'm training with people that are like-minded, are good guys, we're gonna have fun anyway. But stay on target. Know what you need to do.
I don't know why this brought this up to me, but what do you have to say to the lower belt that catches a higher belt and then flunking that? We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
We've all been that lower belt that has been able to catch an upper belt. And for the most part, like, if you catch an upper belt, awesome, man. But when I roll with you and other people, it's like, hey, good job.
Yeah.
Wait, and that be done. But it's that flaunting it.
Well, it's lack of understanding of what we're doing, right? We've all done it. I mean, I'll tell you a story. When I was, I want to say a blue belt, but maybe it wasn't even that. This was back in Washington State where I used to live. We're training and we're doing this stuff, right? And this gentleman came to train with us. He was a colonel or a general at that point in the army, a pretty high up guy. Black belt, but he was like 65 years old, right? Super nice guy, we roll, he's rolling slow, I'm going 1,000,000 miles an hour like every spastic dude goes, and I'm always 30 years younger than this dude, right? And I think I either submitted him or I swept. I did something, I forget exactly what happened. I did something great, right? And I'm like, yeah, man. And then dude left, and I'm telling my professor, you see that? I got that black belt. And he looks at me and goes, well, of course you're gonna get it. He's 65 years old. Like, do you think he's here to like train at that level? Hopefully when you're 65, you'll still be on the mats doing what he's doing. And I'll be like, wow, that's, you know, first I felt like a complete asshole. So I was like, oh man, I shouldn't be like celebrating this. But then I thought about it, and he's right? And I, now being a black belt and being in similar situations, I'm pretty sure that guy didn't care. He was training, he was happy. I'm pretty sure that at some point, he saw the vigor and the intensity with which I was training. He's like, dude, just take it. I don't care. Like, I got nothing to prove, right? So what I say to that in that situation, number one, as a higher belt, if a lower belt legitimately catches you, the only thing that you have to say is, hey, good job. 100%. I hate the people that try to explain, oh, see, you know, what happened was, I was trying to do this because I'm working on this, and I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Good job, man, you got me. That's great, and you should get submitted. The day you stop getting submitted by anybody is the day you're gonna stop learning, so that's not a problem, right? As for the lower belt, the guy that's just celebrating and doing stuff, goes, hey, look, man, understand what we're doing here. This is not, you don't need to win in practice. There's no winning. There's no winning in training. You don't go home and go, I won all my rolls today at the gym, because we're not giving out any medals, right? You're training, you're helping, and if you catch people, that's great. So there's always a reason why you got that higher belt, right? Maybe he made a mistake, because guess what? We're human too, right? 100%. Maybe he was tired that day. Maybe he's truly working on something that he just watched on a video 5 minutes before he started class on his phone, which I do all the time in the car, and I try to hit it, and I was like, oh crap, that didn't work. So you never know, right? So just understand the path. I think it has to do with the fact too that a lot of lower belts associate jiu-jitsu and grappling with a fight. And that kind of doesn't make sense. Well, yeah, of course, I mean, you fight people with jiu-jitsu, right? And you do. But the more that you view your training as fighting, quote unquote, the more narrow-minded you're gonna be, because I'm just trying to win. I'm just gonna smash this dude no matter what. I feel like at some point in my jiu-jitsu training, when I stopped feeling like I was fighting somebody, is when I started to do better. And that's how I train these days. When I'm rolling with somebody, it's not a fight. I'm not trying to hurt this guy. I don't hate him. He's not gonna hurt me. He also doesn't hate me. Hopefully, maybe he does, but he didn't tell me. So we're just exchanging technique. Once you see it as an exchange of technique, then things start to happen. And then if you happen to catch me on something in that exchange of techniques, I'm like, oh, good job, man. That was great. Show me what you did. That way we can both learn, right? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes 100%. Like that's perfect. What do you have to say to the guy that he's looking into it, he's wanting to get started, but he's out of shape or he's nervous to get into the gym?
Just do it, man. It's just, everything that you do in life is gonna be hard the first time you do it, and then it gets easy. It's just a fact of life. First time you drove a car, it was super hard, right? And you drive a car every day and you don't even think about it. So just everything else in life. If we wait for the right moment to do things, I'm gonna wait till I'm fully rested. I'm gonna wait till I am in the best shape of my life. I'm gonna wait till all my finances are straight. I'm gonna wait till, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter, you name it. You're never gonna do anything. You just gotta do it. You gotta get out there and do it, and you gotta understand that growth and true learning comes from putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And that first time, and not the first time, probably the first 6 months on the mat, you're gonna get smashed. You're gonna suck. But then you're gonna get better. Dude, I was the worst. Yeah, if I had to think, if I had to guess, I used to be probably the worst white belt you've ever seen. As a white belt, I don't think I ever submitted anyone or swept or passed anyone's guard. Nothing until I was probably like a 3 or 4 stripe, or maybe until I got to blue belt, I don't know. Yeah, I was terrible. I used to train with guys who were a lot bigger than me. And that's actually how I got so good in the guard, because I wasn't born. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, why am I doing this? But I just kept doing it and kept doing it. And then one day, boom, I started doing things. Like, oh, crap, did I do that? Ugh, maybe it's just a fluke. But then I did it again. I said, oh, no, now I know things. And then it starts to come out. So for all accounts, I shouldn't have been training at that age. I started doing jiu-jitsu at 34,
Okay.
which is pretty old
Yeah.
compared to what most people start. I never thought I was going to be a black belt, but here I am, right? And I'm not the greatest. I'm not the greatest, but I'm also not the worst.
Yeah. One of the other things you said, and we were talking about nutrition with it, but it's just that there's a time and place for everything. I feel like that it's also kind of a blanket statement for life in general, right?
Yeah.
I think that's very much how you live your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a time and place to enjoy things, and there's a time and place to kind of shut that down. So man, I appreciate you coming in, being here. Are there any final thoughts that you want to give the listeners?
Yeah, come to my gym, train. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. So I feel, being sitting here with you with all this time, talking about these things and everything, I can't help but feeling a little bit of a imposter syndrome. To the point is like, who am I to, talk about this? I'm nobody special. I don't know anything that anybody else should know. But I think that the fact that I've never been very talented at the things that I do gives me a unique perspective, and if anything else, should give people hope, because I've never been the most athletic person, I've never been the greatest. Going back to the Army, I joined the Army at 25, where the rest of my peers were 18 and 19, so I was already older, and I was very out of shape. So I've had to work extra hard to do things, and I've gotten that insight that it doesn't matter how you do in the end. The true reward that you get is from doing it and from just putting in 100% of your effort. What's my 100%? It doesn't matter. Is my 100% the same as yours? Probably not. We're different people, right? But as long as I'm doing my best, I'm gonna get the reward, and at the end of the day, at least you can go over and go, hey, you know what? I gave it my all, and I'm living my life that I'm supposed to. So
Does your 100% change day to day?
I don't think
Depends
so.
on how if you're tired or this or that. Like if you're giving it a, would it look different, right?
Yeah, I try not to. My mindset is definitely the same. Mind and body don't always work hand in hand. If you're very tired, or if whatever, if you're injured, it doesn't matter. But I feel that you should always work on what you're doing, whether it's training or whatever, no matter what, no matter how you feel. We have a saying at work, and we say, hey, you know what, the bad guy doesn't care that you're tired. He doesn't care that you didn't sleep last night. Whoever wants to do you harm, and that is going to force you to defend yourself, it's going to be there regardless. So you got to be up in your game. There's no excuses, right? Yeah. So I feel that the more you avoid stopping and the more you keep going, the better off you're going to be.
Nice, man. Where can people follow you?
I'm on Instagram. It's Rei Villa Jiu-jitsu, so it's REIV Jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Just follow me, hit me up. That's where I'll be. That's where I'll be posting updates on whatever projects we have going on. And yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll keep that in the description on the video, man. So, again, dude, thank you. I love
Thank you, man.
You've been such a pleasure to know and to roll with and to learn from. So, I'm going to continue to do that from you. So.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. You're one of my toughest training partners around here. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.